Hi guys, I'm Doritos, and today we're going to be discussing the best defenders in FIFA 23. Let's get into it. When we rate the best players for each position in the defence, we'll be covering the left back, left wing back, centre backs, and then obviously right back, right wing back as well. We will do a top three for each of those positions, but we will also have like a cheaper honourable mentions card for each of those as well. I have to say, when it comes to rating the best defenders, particularly the wing backs and more specifically the right backs, there's a lot of just really solid options. So I think it more comes down to personal preference. So don't grill me on my choices, please. I've tried my best. Kicking things off with the right back position, as this has been the hardest one to decide, our cheap honourable mentions pick is going to be Team of the Season's Moments, Cuadrado. This card is extremely cheap. He's got the weak foot upgrade, so he's 5-star, 4-star. He's surprisingly really good defensively. He seems like the sort of player that would just be like an overlapping, kind of more of a winger that you play at right back in a way, but honestly, defensively, he's really competent. Anchor is actually a really nice chemistry style to run on him because it gets him onto the controlled ring type rather than explosive. So, yeah, Cuadrado, honestly, as solid as they come, pretty much as good as anyone I've used, to be honest, in game. Lots of good links with the Juve, sort of players like Bremer, for example, that you've got in there. So, lots of awesome options to link him into your teams. Really good dribbling stats going forward, but like I say, those defensive stats, even though they look a little bit low, aren't true to how he plays in game. He's actually really solid defensively. Next up in third place, we have Shapeshifters Zaha. This is a card I haven't actually used yet myself, but he's formatted fantastically, and he has the 5-star skill moves as well as a right back, which is absolutely awesome. High work rates. As far as the stats go, he's got really good physicals for a wing back, amazing dribbling. I mean, 97 ball control and 98 dribbling is absolutely fantastic. As far as the player traits go, he does have the giant throw-in trait, which is something they've started adding a lot more towards the end of this game. So that is something that is a real good sort of bonus, because just be able to launch ball into the box from the byline is a pretty nice touch. He's got extremely high base pace at 98 as well, so you can really format this card either more defensively or more offensively, depending on what you want out of it. The premium chemistry just makes it all the easier to fit him into your teams. Just a really solid wingback overall, obviously Prem links as well. A lot of people have been using this card, and he seems to be a really good player in game, so I can't vouch for him myself because I haven't used him, but seeing how much people love the card, I feel like he had to make the list. In second place, we have my personal favourite, and that is Team of the Season Moments, Llorente. Obviously, normally a centre midfielder, but can definitely operate as a right back as well. 4-star, 4-star on this card, high medium work rate, 6 foot tall, so a little bit more physical and taller build. He's got exceptional stamina. He's an absolute workhorse in game. He honestly feels more like a high player than a high medium that it says there. In game, he's got great shooting, amazing base passing, really good dribbling for a guy that is very physical. And for me, the thing that gets him so high in this list is just how consistent his tackling is. I like to play him as the right centre back in a 3-5-2, so he kind of operates as a right back with the way it defends, because it defends as like a 4-4-2 with the way I've got it set up, and he is just an obscenely good stay back right back. He's just amazing. They're so consistent. I've never seen him not win a tackle that he's gone for. As far as the player traits go, he does have speed, dribble, flair, swerve, pass, which are all very beneficial as a distributing defender. Not a card a lot of people actually use as their right back, but honestly, for me, I just think he's so good in game. So he's definitely going to take the number 2 spot for me. The number 1 spot for the right back in FIFA 23, he's pretty much held the throne ever since he came out, and that is, of course, Team of the Year, Hakimi. This card just has it all. He does it all. He links to all the better players in the game. So it's really hard to take a card like this down. 5'11", high medium work rates. Base pace is absolutely maxed out. He's got phenomenal dribbling stats. Not a single stat there sub 90. He's got the 96 crossing, so he's so consistent at whipping the ball in when he makes an overlap. He's got fantastic physicals for a man of his size, and his defending stats are all like in the 90s as well. Just a card that just does it all. Solid player, speed dribble, and outside of the foot shot trait as well. And that is something that really does make him better. Is he's got the outside of the foot shot trait, but he's also got 86 shot power. And you guys know with the way Travellas work in this game, the way they are meta, the way they're formatted, the way overlapping wingbacks are such a big part of this game's meta, he's just even got that in his locker. So Hakimi, because he literally just does it all, takes the number 1 spot. Moving on into the best centre-backs in FIFA 23, starting off with our cheaper honourable mentions pick, this has to go to Team of the Season, Bremer. This card, as soon as he was released, I looked at him and thought, this card looks so good, I'm expecting him to be at least like 500,000 coins, and somehow he was sub 100k like as soon as he came out. 90 pace, 96 defending, 91 physicals. His work rates are back to front, but it really doesn't matter with centre-backs because as long as you have them on stay back, which if you have any idea what you're doing, you will do anyway, it's just not an issue whatsoever. He's 6'2", but he has such a presence in game. As you can see, those defending stats are just near perfect. With any boost of the defensive stats, they're maxed out. His physicals are absolutely exemplary, and his base pace is fantastic because with a boost like a shadow chemistry style, he's basically max pace as well. His agility and balance is actually in a really good place for him to feel nimble but still be able to remain on a lengthy accelerate type, which of course, it's the meta for centre-backs. 95 reactions. He's even got good base passing with 87 short pass and 87 long pass as well. As far as the player traits go, he's only got the power header trait, so that comes in use for corners and such, but realistically, this guy's AI in-game just defensively is extremely good. He's a really nice jockey. His tackling's really consistent. I just can't knock it. This card is just absolutely coin for coin one of the best centre-backs in the game for me. Taking the number 3 spot for the best centre-back in FIFA 23, for me, has to be Foot Birthday Maldini. This man is a staple meta defender in this game. He has been ever since he was a part of the FIFA franchise. This version has 5-star skin with 4-star weak foot, which is kind of just a gimmick really for a man that is always going to be playing centre-back. He has medium-high work rates, 6'1", which seems a little bit short for a centre-back, but realistically, you guys know what Maldini's like in this game. He's built like nobody else. He's just phenomenal, and like no man is too much for this guy in game. Base pace is 87, boost to 95 with the shadow, but realistically he feels as fast as anybody. Lengthy accelerate type, pretty much maxed out reactions and composure. Like Bremer, has good base passing for a centre-back, 90 short pass, 81 long pass. Again, like Bremer, really, really high base defending, but with Maldini, he's one of these that just plays way above his stats. There is not a player defensively that I've ever used that has a faster jockey than Maldini. It's like he's on ice. The way he transitions, it's obscene how fast this guy moves in game when you're just trying to like track a player. He's just second to none where that's concerned. Something that really adds to the meta level of this card is that dives into tackles trait as well. That just gives you the more lunging animations in game, kind of winning the ball in areas that you shouldn't. He also has the team player trait, which is kind of just there for show. That doesn't really do anything. But yeah, Maldini, kind of a personal favourite of mine, and absolutely has to make any sort of top 3 list when it comes to centre-backs for me. Coming in at the number 2 spot is none other than level up Raphael Varane. This is a card that could potentially take the number 1 spot. I think time will tell on this one, but he has got a really generous upgrade on this card, so it's very possible. Medium high, 6'3" with that 5-star weak foot upgrade. He also has really high base pace. The reactions, ball control, and composure are all absolutely maxed out. Really good base short passing and long passing as well, which is really good for the distribution side of things. Literally +1s and 2s on the defending is completely maxing that out. Not to mention at 6'3", he's got 99 jumping, 99 strength, and 96 aggression. As far as his player traits goes, he does have the power header trait, so he is a threat from corners. And they've also just, kind of as a gimmick again, given him the giant throw-in trait, just if you want to launch one into the box with him. There's definitely an argument for him to be at number 1, and the guy that I have at number 1, I still feel like is the best. But one thing I will say is De Ligt hasn't made this list for me. I know for a lot of people he is like a top 2 defender in the game, but for me personally, after using De Ligt, I still prefer Maldini, Varane, and the man that we've got at number 1. Let's get into that number 1 spot. Taking the number 1 spot for best centre-back in FIFA 23 is, of course, Team of the Year, Virgil van Dijk. This guy's frame and presence in the defence is just completely unmatched. He has been the best centre-back in the game, certainly since this version of the card came out. Just an absolute animal. Even his like 92 World Cup card still holds up, which is crazy when you look at the stats and see what other options there are. But he's just got something about him in game. You can play him on 0 chem and he still feels the same. It's almost like the stats don't matter. The game just goes, it's Van Dijk. He's going to dominate at the back. He does have a 98 rated version of the card, which is a CDM. I deliberately didn't put him in the midfielders list because nobody really plays him in midfield. Everyone moves him into a centre-back in a 5-back. So for that reason, I didn't really see him as a true DM, and he really is perceived as a centre-back. So you could consider that CDM card, the 98, the best centre-back in the game, but because that card can't be started at centre-back, I'm not considering that card in this list either. But yeah, Virgil van Dijk, whatever version you want of him, he's number one for me. He's just got everything that is meta in this game where a defender's concerned. Moving on into our left back and left wing back, starting off with our cheap honourable mentions pick, and this has to go to Shapeshifters Thorgan Hazard. He's got the premium chemistry, so he slots straight into your teams. He's 5'9", high work rates, left-footed, 4-star, 4-star. He's one of the most rounded wing backs I think we have in this year's game. The thing that separates him from most wing backs is how good his shooting is. He can Travella with the way his shooting is formatted. He doesn't have the outside of the foot shot trait, but it really doesn't matter. He's always coming in from wide positions, and his shot power is in a really nice sweet spot. Phenomenal base passing and crossing. Absolutely fantastic agility and balance. He does move on the ball really well, like if you want to utilise skill moves down the wing with him. His base defending stats are some of the highest we actually have on a wing back, particularly the interceptions and defensive awareness. That's like Ashley Cole level defensive stats for a wing back, which is very rare. Most of the other like top meta wing backs don't have defensive stats that high. He has pretty much maxed out stamina, so that lends really well to those high work rates. And of course, player traits. He's got flair and technical dribble as well, which only adds to his ability on the ball with that really good agility and balance as well. An absolutely phenomenal card. It was an absolute steal. Considering you can slot him into any team, it was a no-brainer for me. It's just because he doesn't offer really good chemistry links to other players that I think he kind of gets overlooked a bit, but a phenomenal wing-back nonetheless. Coming in at the number 3 spot for the left backs is Theo Hernandez, Team of the Season card. Now, Theo has always been a solid left back in this game, and last year he was my number 1 guy. He was like the best left back for me. In this year's game, his main drawback is those skill moves and weak foot. As you can see there, 3-star, 3-star. Is really disappointing, particularly for someone like me that does like using an overlapping wing back and utilising skill moves with them to create space. Skill moves, I said that a bit weird. But Hernandez, defensively, in terms of his animations and his tackling, is probably the best left back for that. So because, for me, he is the best defensively, he has to make the list, even though I do find this card quite underwhelming. As we look at his stats, despite the lack of skill moves, he still has really good dribbling stats, maxed out crossing so he can still whip in a ball, maxed out pace as well, which really opens up the possibilities for the chemistry style you want to apply to him. He has really good at defending and physical, but like some of these other cards, his defensive capabilities play way beyond the stats. In terms of player traits, he just has speed dribbler, again kind of compensating for the lack of skill moves, but for me, that is the one drawback, and it really does miss it for me. But nonetheless, still an amazing wing-back, and I know a lot of you guys still think highly of this card, so he had to make the top 3. Moving on into second place for best left-backs in FIFA 23. This is a card a lot of you guys probably wouldn't put in your list, but it is a card I think a lot of, and that is End of an Era, Jordi Alba. This card for me, positionally, in the way he defends and how just consistent he is with everything I ask of this card, is just phenomenal. Like, I feel like he's very similar to Thorgan Hazard. He's just a little bit more sophisticated in terms of his positioning and defending. In terms of his rating, he's actually one of the highest rated left backs in the game. So it's not crazy that I've put him at number 2 in the list, but I just know he's one that a lot of people don't consider, mainly because he's short. But in game, he does not disappoint. I think he's phenomenal in game. High work rates, 4-star, 4-star. He does actually have a really good Travella in game as well because of that lower shot power. Because of where his pace is, he's perfectly catered and formatted to having that anchor chemistry style. That gets him onto the controlled running type as well. So a man of his size with the controlled running type at max pace is a really good combination. He doesn't get out-muscled or outran by anybody. He's really good defensively. His dribbling is outstanding. His skill moves actually come off really fast. And his passing and the way he can ping a ball is honestly up there with the best of them. Such an overlooked card. Such an overlooked card. And I think it's just because people do like these bigger, more physical wing backs. In terms of the traits, early crosser, speed dribbler, swerve pass, team player, flare passes. The swerve pass and flare passes is noticeable in game because he's got such good base passing with those traits. When you like hit like an ambitious pass with him, like more often than not, it does come off. Such an underrated card, and for me, it just has to take the number 2 spot. Last but absolutely not least, the number 1 spot for best left back in FIFA 23 goes to my absolute GOAT, 95 rated level up Alphonso Davies. 5-star, 5-star, high-low work rates, 6'1". The work rates, to be honest, are a complete lie. This guy has never failed to retreat on the defence. He isn't someone that goes up and doesn't come back. He literally plays like a high player. Just phenomenal defensively in game and second to none on the offense, especially now with this upgraded level up card with the 5-star weak foot. To be honest, I don't even think the card needed the weak foot upgrade to kind of be the level he is. I already thought of him as the best left back in the game, even with his team of the season card. Stats wise, a bit like some of these other defenders on the list, plays way above what those defensive stats suggest, but absolutely plays up to those dribbling stats, all like in the mid-90s. Phenomenal distribution with that 99 crossing and 96 short passing. It is no lie, it plays exactly true to that in game. With his 6'1" size, but still the 90 jumping, that real good physicality, that really shows in game as well. As far as the player traits go, he's got flair, speed, dribbler, giant throw-in and flare passes. Again, I keep saying it, but because he also has that ability to Travella as well on that wide side, with the decent shooting stats, but the shot power kind of at the top of what still works, he's just phenomenal. The base pace being 99, again, means you can format this card in any way that you see fit. You could even move him into the midfield and he would do a phenomenal job. Like, this is just the most complete wingback for me that we've had on this year's game. I'm waiting for the few of you that want to have Camavinga on that list, but I promise you guys, he didn't even get near the list, so don't even try and tell me you should have been on it. That is a wrap though, guys, for the best defenders in FIFA 23. Let me know down below who your favourite left back, centre back, and right back was from FIFA 23. If you did make it this far in the video though, guys, as always, I really appreciate your time. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and turn your bell on. Take care, guys.